Hey, so going off the back of Hamza's latest video, basically around, basically what criticisms of Hamza Ahmed. And I've been watching him for since August. That's about 6, 7, yeah, it's maybe about since August, so quite some time really. Nearly come up to a year in a few months really. So about 9 months really. And yeah, I've got a few. There are criticisms. There are things he does that I don't like. I think number one is kind of what I don't like about Hamza is he projects a lot onto the audience really. Like what I noticed is he always comes to a place where he's talking about his younger self. He's always projecting towards little Hamza, his younger self, and that makes sense in some ways, but in other ways it kind of feels demeaning and insulting. And maybe this is me. Maybe I'm not looking at that bigger picture here. What his main channel has become essentially further down the line has become more Jeffrey-fied, and I get that's to get views, is to get clicks, and he's got the unfiltered channel to do the more normal stuff. But like watching those videos now, it's like I just feel shouted at for 5 minutes about like not doing the good stuff. But you know what? I get why he does that. He does that because the videos on the actual. I'm gonna try and hold this closer because I think the mic's better. He does it because the videos on this unfiltered are more like his old videos, longer form, no editing, just long conversations about sort of real things. And then like his main channel is kind of just like for Jeffries, for guys who literally just have done nothing about self improvement and they're just getting into it the first time. So maybe that's an issue with me, really, more than anything else. And maybe another issue is that his advice purely focuses on straight men, and maybe that's just another thing of my sort of area. He's purely talking about the idea of the male female dynamic, and that's a fairly good thing. But as a bisexual man myself, that only answers about like maybe 40% of my equation. It doesn't explain the whole half of my other kind of experience. And maybe that's another area, realistically, that I just want to get into. Maybe I should explore as well. Like, how is there a queer red pill? Or, well, red pill. Is there not like self improvement for people who are just not straight? And obviously there is. Obviously there are factors of that. And maybe male female dynamics are just very much a unique case. But yeah, that's the way he explains things into his audience, and it doesn't fully do it for me. And that's fine because you know what, this is where people like me can come in, and other queer content creators can probably come in and like answer. I guess let's do different things, and come in with even without that kind of caveat, Yeah, and that I think that kind of dovetails in nicely to my sort of second kind of point, really. Where I've been guilty of this as well. He creates a cult like following. His Discord is a cult. He's creating a cult, and that kind of cult like following creates a kind of fundamentalist approach in a sense. Ham is always right. He's always this. He's always that, and he's right about a lot of things. But you know what? He's not perfect, literally. And this is maybe another issue where all these criticisms of Hamza and things that like him truly in some way come back to reflect on me as well, because I'm realizing, what the issues are kind of. I've got a lot of issue, and this is also comes from a really good book he recommended called How to Do the Work by Dr. Nicole Ann LePera. I'll post a link of it down in the description below, talking about like hero worship, and that comes to like an issue in childhood where you have like issues with a parent, or you're either told this parent or family member is you're meant to tell this person is really great, or you're just kind of instilled in you this person's great, and you get this kind of culture of hero worship. And I really had that for Hams as well, actually. And I created this huge kind of mental gulf in a sense, and I had this really big issue with a lot of like people as well, and even in my day to day life, I'm getting more cognizant of it now. Where I put people who are doing such incredible things on this pedestal so far above me that it becomes hero worship. And you know what? I've kind of distanced it now. All Hamza is really, he's just a really impressive. He's just a man who has just done his habits and spoke to a camera. That is it. There's no difference between me, you, him, or anyone else, realistically speaking. As long as you have that kind of same will, that notion, that understanding that yeah, of course, we go if we just follow our habits, we do the things day in day out that are going to be, conducive to self improvement. If we make this income growing constantly, why shouldn't I be doing great? If I'm, looking for where I am now from when I got into this properly. I mean, even realistically, I'd say January. January was kind of a low period, and I properly have gotten back into self improvement from February. Going back there now, it's like, yeah, why? If I keep doing this for another year, what the hell will my life look like? And I can only imagine it's going to look better than it is now, because even from February kind of come up to April now, things have been pretty good. Not disqualify the work I've been doing since August, but I guess this all kind of started on August. But yeah, that's another area I don't really like about him is, the whole cult like following is good in some ways, but it limits creativity and growth and sort of like critique in a healthy way as well. Another area I don't really like where Hamza comes in, and because he's not an expert and he's never said he's an expert, so it's he kind of takes a very simplistic view of things and a very kind of like easy to digest bro science. He doesn't believe in like academics or things like that. But I mean, whether you can sit here and argue about academic journals or things like that, scholarships or papers being good or not, you kind of do need the scientific method, and you kind of like can't always be bro sciencing things here and there. Like, I don't know, he's talked a lot about, and I don't like this as well, actually. He goes on these kind of weird, almost fundamentalist rants about the fall and the decline of the West. And, okay, sure, the West might not be the bastion of global security. And he almost seems to validate these strong countries like Russia and China. I'm not saying he's carrying water for Putin or anything like that, far from it, but, or maybe it's just argument for the sake of argument's sake. He kind of, like, says the West is falling in decline, it's all decay, and he kind of, I don't know. Maybe he's coming up from a background where he's influenced by Islam and all that sort of stuff. There's nothing wrong against any kind of religion. As a Buddhist, I try and respect all religions. I just think his kind of view on the West being in decline and all this other kind of stuff. It kind of comes across as a little. It can be a little right wing. Maybe that's just I'm looking the wrong way. Maybe it's just me because I'm coming from like an academic kind of. I wouldn't even say I'm exactly leftist as well, because I agree with some of his stuff, but like some of the stuff he comes across a little right wing, a little fundamentalist, a little too traditionalist. And maybe that's probably another thing that's to do with me as well, because as a bisexual man myself, it doesn't really, I don't know if I want to have kids. That's not a thing I've narrowed down. I've not exactly hammered down on that point and said, yeah, this is where I want to go in my life, and seeing that he's clearly going to back the side and the ideologies and the traditions that are going to favour the family environment and foster that. So, quite naturally, I guess he has to sort of angle himself against those things that I guess he fears that might encroach in that, which might be like, LGBTQI sort of ideology, which is, well, I don't know, that whole thing of itself is a can of worms, and I'm not trying to say either side's better or worse, really. It's just, yeah, I just feel there can be a bit of that kind of fundamentalist right-wing kind of bent to his stuff, but that's neither here or there. At the end of the day, he's a man who makes self-improvement videos, realistically, so I shouldn't expect the sort of nuanced, detailed, careful political commentary that I should from other sources, right? So, yeah, I mean, and that's, yeah, and also, I guess, maybe, so, I mean, yeah, so sort of the criticism I really have, he sort of projects onto his audience a lot, and a lot maybe about himself and his own insecurities, and he kind of can be a bit, I guess, just kind of, yeah, a bit right wing in some senses as well. And see, the thing is, here's the brilliant thing is though, he called himself out, like, not called himself out, but he asked for people to come in and criticize his stuff, and it's really hard to in some ways, because you know what, all these little details I have niggling about this sort of stuff, on the overall, like 99% of stuff, he's right. And like I said in my previous video, I'm so grateful for the advice Hamza gave to me. I'm so grateful for. I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be here today. I wouldn't be around today. I wouldn't make these videos, if Hamza didn't actually fucking just get my ass into gear, and motivate me and show me that, it is possible, and someone quite like me, can go out and do these things as well. And yeah, I think the viewers of Hamza as well can be very fundamentalist, can be very cult-like and fan-like, and I was that as well. And then I kind of got disenchanted or disattached or sort of dispassionate about Hamza. Maybe sometimes I just stop watching for about 2 weeks and then start watching his video again. It's kind of an interesting thing, but I mean, just kind of tangentially as well. I've been yeah. Maybe I'll save it for another video, but I've been trying to cut down my video game playing for a long time. I'm gonna get a whole separate video as well about like me and video games, because video games have been a huge area of just addiction and sort of instant gratification for pretty much my whole entire life, and I've used them for escape, for fantasy, and a lot of the stuff Hamza says about video games, I relate to 100%, because I've used them as kind of like a way of release, to get out of my day-to-day living, and I'm coming to this place now like I don't even really enjoy playing them that much. I might enjoy them for like an hour. Then by hour 2, it's fine. By hour 3, it's fine. Then by hour 6 or whatever, I'm playing up until 4 in the morning. I could go on a whole rant about video games, and I will. I will, because you know what? There's a real value to be able to say this kind of stuff now. I'm trying to curtail it back, I'm trying to really curtail it back. But, yeah, the sort of things don't like about Hamza are really just areas where I could come in off my own life experience, my own views on things, my own kind of like growth and experience. Like the stuff he says is right, the stuff he says is really fundamentally right, but I don't like how either nuanced or kind of sometimes, he's a bit underhanded about things, or just somewhat I don't know. It's really hard to say because it's not perfect. It's not perfect, and neither should it be. Neither am I perfect, and you know what? That's perfectly fine. But they have the opportunity and the chance to be able to be critical of this guy that has inspired me so much. There's kind of that resistance. There's that kind of resistance in my head that doesn't want to say that. I don't want to almost be critical about this because I'm almost fearful of that. And that's actually, by actually going out and be critical of him and just saying, I find him a bit right wing. I find him a bit fundamentalist. I find his methods underhanded. I met the guy once in like some Discord voice call, and some other guy was there, and he was promoting his content, and he kicked that guy for promoting his content. And can I sit there and say that's exactly the nicest thing to do? Maybe it's not the nicest thing he did, but you know what? It's his server, and he got to this place by being ruthless. And yeah, there's something to admire about that ruthlessness in a sense, something that I have not could tell that within myself. But I mean, my criticisms of the guy don't really matter in a sense, in some ways. I mean, this is purely coming with the back of like Hamza said to ride those coattails and ride that wave of like Hamza Ahmed getting to the top, and what? Why the hell not? Why the hell not? I thought this would be a lot easier to do. I thought it would be so much easier to sit here and record and say, "Yep, I don't like these things about him," but like, you know what? All the things I don't like about him just bring up things about myself that maybe I could do. I feel like I could do better. Or I feel like I could speak with more authority or with more knowledge or something. But even then, it's just it's crazy. It's really crazy. But for fear of rambling and whatnot, I'll leave it there. Take care, everyone. I'll see you.